Hi guys, welcome to another basement review by Diminias, and today we're going to be talking about RWBY episode 7, which just came out a few hours ago. So this episode continues where the last one left off, obviously, where we have our pairings. We have Yang and Blake, we have Weiss and RWBY, we have Lyrin and Nora Valkyrie, and then we have John and Pura. And those are the only pairings we really care about. But we get kind of an introspective from Glenda Goodwitch talking to Ozpin about several of the pairings, as well as John himself is put on a pedestal and examined very closely. Glenda doesn't seem to think that his transcripts match his level of fighting, I guess. She doesn't think that he's ready for this level of combat. And the other person or pairing that got questioned was Nora Valkyrie and Lyrin. Those two are kind of, you have hot, you have cold, you have water, you have oil. They just don't mix, but yet they seem to get along, which is kind of an interesting character dynamic. After that, we get a scene where Blake and Yang easily come into contact with the relics. And as we can see, they're chess pieces, which may or may not mean something down the road. Something to keep an eye on. Monty is one of those guys that I think he's gonna incorporate a lot of comparisons to games or real world events, so we'll see. We're still trying to understand Monty's style, and this will give us good insight into what we're going to see. After that, we get RWBY and Weiss arguing some more. The big question for these two is, when are they going to stop arguing, and when are they going to have a little bit of mutual respect for one another? Because right now, they don't have any respect. They don't care anything about one another. RWBY doesn't respect teamwork and doesn't respect Weiss as a partner, seeing as how she says, I could have beat them all myself in the last episode. Weiss thinks RWBY is a child and acts very much like a child and really shouldn't be there. And this is interesting because this is the thing RWBY was worried about. She was worried about people not thinking she belonged. And here she has her first challenge to show, hey, I do belong here. I'm special. And she's blowing it, really. That's all you can say. She's not doing a very good job with teamwork, communication. She has a long way to go. She has the physical skill, but she needs to develop other things too. Then we move on to Pura and John, who find a cave, and they decide this must be where the relics are. So in the next scene, they've made a torch and they're heading in. Yang and Blake choose their relic. They choose what represents a knight in the chess set. And at this point, we go back to Pura and John, and they stumble upon a monster of Grimm. John, being the classic comic relief character, grabs a hold of it thinking it's still a relic, and realizing quite quickly that this is not a relic, this is a scorpion, which is kind of a nice change of pace from snakes and kind of the other monsters we've seen, something unique, something special. Pura runs away, obviously, because they're in a cave. They don't want to be in an enclosed area and try and fight a scorpion with a tail that can sting you. So she runs out of the cave. John, holding on for dear life onto the tail of the scorpion, which I guess if you're going to hold on to something, the end of the tail is probably the best place. Because it ain't going to sting you if you're hanging on to the very end of his tail. So, comes blasting out of the cave. John screams like a little girl, in which Yang very nicely says, "There's a girl in trouble," which is hilarious. Blake, on the other hand, seems to be thinking about something, and we're probably going to get some insight into her character, I'm thinking next episode, because it looks like she's really concerned about whatever is happening. Pyrrha prepares to fight. John gets chucked off by the scorpion, so he's going to come up with his own landing strategy this time instead of having Pyrrha save his ass. But that's where the episode ends, so we're guaranteed some action next episode with Pyrrha. We finally get to see her fight, and we might even get to see some Blake and Yang action. Again, we'll see. And we might get a little more character development. But this episode, very little character development. We had a little bit of introspection by a couple of the side characters, but it was an average episode. This is one of those I look at and go, you're setting up for the next one where you're going to have something bigger. So I'm hoping for character development next episode, and we'll probably definitely see combat. So it was an average episode, guys. If you disagree with me, comment. If you liked what I said, subscribe, comment, thumbs up. All those things help me, guys. And one more thing, always check out roosterteeth.com. Always check out their channels, Achievement Hunter, Let's Play, whatever, just the red versus blue. Guys, support these guys so that we keep getting a quality anime and other quality productions from these guys. So, all right, guys, take it easy. Bye.